Commander Zixithera clicked her mandibles in frustration as she watched the human pilot execute yet another impossible maneuver with casual precision. The Galactic Naval Academy had spent centuries perfecting theoretical combat maneuvers that pushed the absolute limits of physics and pilot endurance. These maneuvers were taught as desperate, last-resort tactics that might be attempted once in a career-ending emergency. Lieutenant Sarah Chen performed them like she was parking a hover car. Instructor Zixithera called Cadet Veltar, his crystalline voice trembling with confusion. The human just completed a triple-axis spiral, while maintaining targeting lock on 3 separate bogies. According to our calculations, that should have rendered her unconscious from the G-forces alone. Zixithera's 4 eyes focused on the tactical display where Chen's fighter, a standard-issue Nebula-class interceptor, danced through space with impossible grace. The ship pulled maneuvers that should have torn it apart, executed turns that defied conventional understanding of momentum and inertia. Perhaps there's a malfunction in her artificial gravity compensators, suggested Cadet Mordun, his tentacles writhing nervously. No sentient being could maintain consciousness through those acceleration vectors. But Zixithera had been monitoring Chen's biometrics throughout the exercise. Heart rate elevated but stable, neural activity sharp and focused. No signs of distress or impairment. If anything, the human seemed to be enjoying herself. The comm crackled to life. "Control, this is Bravo 7, came Chen's relaxed voice. "Exercise complete. All targets neutralized. Requesting permission to demonstrate the modified Corvanian helix I've been working on." "Negative, Bravo 7. Zixithera responded quickly. "Return to Bay immediately." She had read about the Corvanian helix in classified military archives. It was a theoretical maneuver developed by the war-minded Corvani species, a diving attack pattern that required the pilot to intentionally enter an uncontrolled spin while maintaining weapons accuracy. Even the Corvani, with their enhanced inner ear structures, had never successfully executed it in combat. Chen had apparently modified it. After the debriefing, Zixithera found herself in her office staring at Chen's service record. The human had arrived at the academy 6 months ago as part of the new interspecies exchange program. Her species had only recently achieved faster-than-light travel, making them galactic newcomers. Their technology was primitive, their ships barely adequate by galactic standards. Yet somehow, this particular human had broken every flight simulation record the academy maintained. A soft chime announced a visitor. Chen stood in the doorway, her flight suit still damp with perspiration. That peculiar human expression called a smile playing across her features. "You wanted to see me, Commander?" "Sit." Zixithera gestured to the chair across from her desk. "Lieutenant Chen, I need to understand something. The maneuvers you performed today, the Academy classifies them as theoretically possible but practically impossible. They're taught as academic exercises to demonstrate the absolute limits of what might be attempted in the most desperate circumstances." Chen nodded. "Yeah, we covered those in the textbook. Seemed like standard evasive maneuvers to me." "Standard?" Zixithera's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Lieutenant, the vortex cascade you performed in Sector 7 generates forces that should liquefy most organic matter. How are you still alive?" "Oh, that," Chen shrugged. "Back home we call that a barrel roll with a twist. I learned it in basic flight training when I was 16. Zixithera's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep confusion among her species. "Your species teaches adolescents these maneuvers?" "Well, not in space," Chen clarified. "We start with atmospheric flight. My instructor always said if you can't make your aircraft do something, physics says it shouldn't. You don't really understand your machine yet." The commander accessed her terminal, pulling up footage from Chen's previous exercises. "This maneuver here, where you maintain thrust while rotating your ship through 7 different axes simultaneously. Our physicists call it the probability cascade. The mathematical model suggests it's theoretically possible for approximately 0.3 seconds before structural failure." "Right," Chen nodded enthusiastically. "That's why you have to feel your way through it rather than rely on the computer. The ship will tell you when she's had enough. You just have to listen. Listen to the ship. Every craft has personality. This Nebula-class fighter, for instance. She likes to push hard into turns, but she gets cranky if you stress her too long in a straight line. The artificial gravity system has a slight delay in the port compensators, so you have to adjust your entry angle by about 3 degrees to account for the lag. Zixathera realized her translator might be malfunctioning. The human seemed to be suggesting she held conversations with an inanimate vehicle. Lieutenant, are you saying you've identified flaws in Academy equipment that our engineers missed? Not flaws, Chen corrected. Characteristics. Every ship is built within tolerances, but no two are exactly alike. Back home we have a saying, the best pilots don't fight their ships, they dance with them. That evening, Zixathera found herself reviewing combat reports from across the galaxy. Everywhere human pilots had been deployed, the same pattern emerged. Maneuvers that should have been impossible became routine. Ships that should have been destroyed limped home against all odds. Enemy forces reported encounters with human pilots who seemed to ignore the laws of physics entirely. The reports painted a picture that defied rational explanation. Humans weren't stronger than other species or faster or more intelligent. Their technology remained inferior to galactic standards, yet somehow they had taken the art of piloting to levels that other species had deemed impossible. The next morning, Chen appeared at her office again, this time carrying a data pad. Commander, I've been analyzing the Academy's impossible maneuver database. I think there might be a few moves missing from the curriculum. Zixathera looked at the pad Chen handed her. It contained detailed schematics for 17 new combat maneuvers, each more impossible than the last. These are theoretical exercises I worked out last night, Chen explained, based on some techniques we use back home for atmospheric racing. I think they could be adapted for space combat. Zixathera stared at the schematics, her mind struggling to process what she was seeing. Each maneuver violated multiple laws of physics while somehow remaining mathematically sound. Lieutenant Chen, she said slowly, what exactly did your species do before you achieved spaceflight? Chen's smile widened. We learned to fly. As Zixathera watched the human leave her office, she began to understand something that would reshape galactic military doctrine forever. Other species had conquered space through superior technology and overwhelming firepower. Humans had done something far more impressive. They had made the impossible look easy, and somehow Zixathera suspected they were just getting started.